Being buried alive is one of the most horrifying things you could possibly imagine. The idea of waking up in a box barely big enough for your body, with limited air and no way out. To what lengths would you go to ensure this horrible fate never befalls you? Tonight's story is an old tale that comes to us all the way from Manchester, England, where a wealthy young landowner watched in horror as her brother was nearly buried alive, and thus set in motion a plan to keep herself in the spinster's grave. Spinster Hannah Beswick died more than 200 years ago. Her body was embalmed, but her restless spirit still haunts a factory built on the land where her home once stood. Hannah was a wealthy Lancashire landowner whose house, Birchen Bower, dominated acres of fertile land in Hollinwood on the outskirts of Manchester. She was not normally fearful, but when in 1745 Bonnie Prince Charlie crossed the border into England and advanced south, she became so obsessed with the thought of the invading Scots that she hid all her money and valuables. They remained hidden for the rest of her life. Apart from the Scots, her only real terror was being buried alive, a fear quite understandable in the light of what had happened in her own family. One of her brothers had fallen ill and, while unconscious, had been pronounced dead by a local doctor. Preparations were made for his funeral, and he was laid to rest in an open coffin so that friends and relatives could pay their last respects. While lying in his shroud, surrounded by flowers, he began to show signs of life. The unfortunate man was hastily removed to his bed. Hannah died in 1768 without divulging where she had hidden her fortune. Because of what had happened to her brother, she took steps to ensure that her corpse would not be buried. She left Birchen Bower to a young Dr. Charles White, with the stipulation that he must have her embalmed and kept in a safe and respectable place above ground. For some strange reason, she also insisted that every 21 years, her body should be taken back to the house and allowed to lie in the granary for 7 days. Old Hannah was duly mummified, her body coated with tar and wrapped in heavy linen bandages. In accordance with her wishes, the face was left uncovered. For many years, Dr. White faithfully kept the body at his own home, Sale Priory. But when he died, it was moved to the Manchester National History Society's museum, where it became a major attraction. A century after Hannah Beswick was embalmed, the commissioners of the society, finding the museum overfilled with relics and needing room for more new acquisitions, decided it was time that she was given a proper burial. She was finally interred at Harpurfey Cemetery on July 22, 1868. Now, some people had already claimed to have seen her ghost wandering through the rooms of Birchen Bower, dressed in her usual black silk gown and white lace cap. After burial, the ghost became more agitated. Hannah was seen hurrying between the old barn and the pond as though deeply troubled. Sometimes, it was said, the old barn glowed as if on fire. The house remained empty for some years, inhabited only by the spirit of Hannah Beswick. Then it was bought by a developer, renovated, and converted into small dwellings to be rented out to cotton workers and laborers. The new tenants would often see her drift by, head bent as if deep in thought. One particular aspect of her behavior was puzzling. Sometimes she would disappear at a particular spot, a corner flagstone in the parlor of a house occupied by a hand-loom weaver. Hannah seemed to hover about this room as though reluctant to leave it. The weaver decided to pull up part of the flagstone floor to make a place where he could install a new loom. To his amazement, he found hidden underneath a hoard of gold. He had found just a part of Hannah Beswick's fortune. After this, Hannah was seen frequently, no longer thoughtful, but angry. and menacing. People spoke of a brilliant blue light darting from her eyes. Sometimes at night she was seen near the pond, and other times strange unearthly noises were heard in the barn. No one would venture there after dark unless they had urgent business. It gave rise to speculation that perhaps the rest of her valuables were hidden nearby, and she was determined to protect them. The hauntings continued until Birch and Bower was demolished. A factory was built on the spot, and that was thought to be the end of the affair. But then, people who knew nothing of her story began saying that they had caught a glimpse of a strange, old-world figure in a black silk gown and a white lace cap. Hey there, Frightmares fans, and happy Halloween. We hope you're enjoying the new Frightmares episodes this month. If so, please click like and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring the funeral bell so you'll get notified about all of our latest videos and content. We'll be back next Friday with another tale to chill your bones on those crisp fall nights. Until then, stay scary.